Moving on with the next exemption, which is under section 54. So let's understand what is 54. Listen, I'll tell you what exactly is 54 in one sentence. Say I have a residential house property. I have what? A residential house property. Can you call that residential house property as a capital asset? Of course, yes. Immobile property, whether it is personal or not, it will be capital asset. Yes or no? I have a residential house property. I sold that particular house property. Then I have to compute what? Capital gain. When I sell that particular residential house property, I have to compute what? Capital gain. But I sold that particular residential house property for purchasing another residential house property. I sold my old residential house property to purchase another residential house property. I can claim exemption under 54. So you tell me what is exemption under 54? When I sell my old residential house property and purchases a new residential house property, I can claim exemption under section 54. How to claim that? That's what we are about to discuss. This was just an intro. Are you all with me? Old residential house property sold and bought new residential house property. I am eligible for exemption under 54 subjected to certain conditions. That's what we are about to discuss. So let's understand which all are the conditions that I have to satisfy. Simple. I should be either an individual or Hindu undivided family. I have to be an individual or HUF for claiming this particular exemption. Number 2. There should be a transfer of residential house. Of course, there should be a transfer of residential house. Then it must be a long-term capital asset. That residential house property I have to hold for a period of more than 24 months, because the period of holding for a residential house property to call it as a long-term capital asset is 24 months. I have to hold that old residential house property for a period which is more than 24 months. Then that house property should have been accessible under income from house property. That simply means it should be a residential house property. That doesn't mean you have to let it out. See, income from house should be chargeable under the head house property simply means that have to be a house property. If there was some income, it have to be accessible under it have to be accessible under house property head. That simply means it have to be a residential house property. Then next is the main condition. Purchase of new house. I've told you I have to purchase a new house for claiming this exemption. Yes or no? How to purchase that? What are the things that I have to consider while purchasing? Listen. There is a long, big flow chart for the purchase. Be very, very attentive. Say, for example, I've sold an old residential house property. Yes or no? If the long-term capital gain on sale of this old residential house property more than 2 crore. What do you mean by long-term capital gain on sale of old residential house property? Full value consideration minus indexed cost of acquisition or indexed cost of improvement, whatever it is. The rest of the figure coming is more than 2 crores. Then, for claiming exemption, I have to either purchase a new residential house property 1 year before or 2 years after the date of transfer. Or I have to construct a new residential house property within 3 years from the date of transfer. What do you mean by this? I have sold an old residential house property and I'm planning to purchase a new residential house property. Department say there is a time frame. You cannot purchase the new residential house property at your wish, at any time. It is not possible. There is a time frame we are saying. What is the time frame? Either 1 year before the transfer of old residential house property or within 2 years after the transfer of old residential house property. What is this 1 year before? Because I have only one house. I sold it and I'm in search of a new house. Where will I live? Live on street? Not possible. So they say you can plan it. You can purchase one house property, then you can sell your old house property. Then also you are eligible for what? Exemption. Are you with me? You can purchase one residential house property initially, then also you can sell that old house property. Okay, you have purchased the house property 10 years back and you are selling an house property right now. Then you are saying, I purchased the house property 10 years back. Is it possible? No. 1 year before or 2 years after the date of transfer. If I am purchasing it, if I am constructing it, department not saying the period of starting of construction. They are only concerned about the period ends, the ending date of construction. What they are saying is, if I am constructing a new house, then the construction should be within a period of 3 years from the date of transfer. Are you all with me? So, two things consider. When I am selling my old residential house property, I have two options. Either I can purchase a new house or I can construct a new house. If I'm purchasing a new house 1 year before or 2 years after the date of transfer. If I'm constructing a new house within 3 years from the date of transfer. I hope it is clear. Are you all listening? Point number 2. If when I sold my old residential house property, say the long-term capital gain incurred, is less than or equal to 2 crore. Less than or equal to 2 crore. Exactly 2 crore or less than 2 crore. Then what to do? Then department say, I can purchase at my option, I may purchase up to 2 residential house property. Either 1 year before or 2 years after. Or I can construct 2 residential house property from 3 years within the date of transfer. It doesn't mean you have to purchase 2 or construct 2. If you want, you can purchase up to 2 and claim exemption for both. Are you with me? If you want, you can construct up to 2 and claim exemption for both. If you want, you can purchase 1 and construct 1. That is also possible. One house you purchase, another house you construct. But the moral of the story is you can have up to 2. You can buy up to 2 and claim both as an exemption. Are you with me? Say for example, for a better clarity, I'm telling you, listen, on sale of old residential house property, my capital gain was 1.50 crore. 1.50 crore. It is less than 2 crore. Yes or no? I can make use of that entire 1.50 crore to buy a new residential house property and I can claim exemption. No problem. Or rather, I'm thinking to buy 2 small houses. One I'm planning to leave and other I'm planning to let out. So 75 lakhs I can invest in one house. Another 75 lakh I can invest in second house and I can claim both that entire 1.50 crores as what? Exemption. Are you with me? Say instead of this 1.5 crores, say my long-term capital gain was 2.5 crores and if I invested 1 crore in one house property and 1.5 crore in another house property, then either of one I can claim exemption. I cannot claim exemption for both. The long-term capital gain at the time of sale of old residential house property have to be less than or equal to 2 crore for buying 2 house property and claiming both as an exemption. Are you with me? And this option is not mandatory. It is completely optional. If you want, you can purchase up to 2 and claim exemption up to 2. We are not mandating that you have to purchase 2. You may opt this. There is no mandation that you have to opt this particular provision. Are you all listening? I hope it is clear. Moving on. Now, listen friends. This option of 2 house can be exercised only once in your life. What do you mean by it can be exercised only once? 10 years before, say for example 3 years before, I sold a house property and I bought 2 and I claim exemption for both. Now I am selling one of those house properties and my long-term capital gain is less than 2 crore. Can I buy again 2 house and claim exemption for 2? Not possible. For one assessee, you can claim this benefit only once in your lifetime. Are you all with me? Now, there is another condition. So, I have to buy a new house or construct a new house for claiming this exemption. Yes or no? I have to buy or construct a new house for claiming this exemption. Are you all listening? The department say that new house, there is a lock-in period for 3 years. What is lock-in period? I have to lock it up. Then what is lock-in period? I am not supposed to transfer that new house, either purchased or constructed, for the next 3 years. For the next 3 years, you are not supposed to sell that particular new house property. You have to maintain that particular house property with you for the next 3 years. I hope you guys are with me. Now, another interesting factor. Listen, I'll explain the last point by way of an example. Listen, simple it is. Say for example, Mr. JK sold the house property in the year 2022-23 and the long-term capital gain figure was 3 crore. Long-term capital gain figure was how much? 3 crore. How much will I get the exemption? Department say, out of long-term capital gain, how much I invested in the new residential house property, that much amount I can claim exemption. If I invest this entire 3 crore for my new residential house property, I can claim this entire 3 crore as an exemption. If I'm investing only 1 crore, I can claim that 1 crore as an exemption. If I'm investing 2 crore out of this 3, I can claim 2 crore as an exemption. Out of long-term capital gain, how much am I investing? That amount I can claim as exemption. Are you with me? Now, listen, do I have to invest this 3 crore in 22-23 itself? Do I have to invest that 3 crore in 22-23 itself? No. I can purchase 1 year before or 2 years after the date of transfer. I can construct 3 years from the date of transfer, within 3 years. Yes or no? But there is a problem. In the year of transfer, you need to compute capital gain. In the year of transfer, you need to compute what? Capital gain. Yes or no? So I am supposed to compute capital gain in 22-23. But in 22-23, there is no mandation that I have to purchase a new house. What to do? When should I claim exemption? Either in the year of transfer or in the year of purchase. What's your opinion? Either in the year of transfer or in the year of purchase. When should I get the exemption? Year of transfer, because that's when there is a capital gain liability. From the liability, you have to give exemption. Yes or no? But there is a problem. You haven't invested the amount. You haven't invested the amount in the year of transfer. You have time up to 2 years or 3 years. You do one thing. We know that you are a fraud guy. All right. You do things like this, then department will be very sure that you are a fraud guy. That's what we call normally, right? Say you are a fraud guy. So what department will say that? Okay, do one thing. If you are not planning to buy a residential house property within 2 years, or if you are not planning to construct a residential house property within 3 years, do one thing. On or before due date of filing return, you invest that amount. Invest amount in capital gains account scheme, CGAS. Capital gains account scheme means it is a special account opened with a nationalized bank by the SC. Say for example, you can open a CGAS account in SBI. It's just like a normal bank account with some conditions and norms. Are you with me? So what you need to do, on or before filing return for 22-23, out of 3 crore, how much you are planning to invest in the new house? That equivalent amount you deposit in CGAS on or before due date of filing return and claim what? Exemption. Now there is a problem. From CGS account, you are only supposed to utilize that amount for the purchase or construction of new house. You are not supposed to misutilize. If you misutilize, then there will be violation of condition and there will be capital gains taxability in the year of misutilization. Are you with me? The one thing that you have to make sure that the amount which you have deposited and claimed exemption subsequently have to be utilized only for the purpose of either purchase or construction of house property, not for any other purpose. Are you all with me? Hope you understood the purpose of CGS. Are you all? I hope you guys got the point. Now, let me ask you one question. What if I have violated that 3-year lock-in period condition? I've told you that I am not supposed to sell that particular new residential house property for another 3 years. What if I have violated that 3-year lock-in period condition? What should be the treatment? That's what department, that's what I'm about to say. Listen, I'll give another example for that. Listen, say I have an old house. I've sold it. And my long-term capital gain was, say, 50 lakhs. 50 lakhs. And I've invested in new residential house property. New residential house property. That means I bought a new residential house property for 75 lakhs. I bought a new residential house property for how much, friends? 75 lakhs. How much will be my exemption? When I sold my old residential house property, my long-term capital gain was 50. And I've invested in the new residential house property. My new residential house property's cost was 75. How much will be my exemption? 50 lakhs. I cannot claim exemption as 75 and claim loss. It is exemption, not deduction. Are you all with me? If it is deduction, then you can say that I can claim 75,000 and 75 lakhs and claim loss. This is not what deduction. This is exemption. So the maximum exemption that you can claim is 50 lakhs. Yes or no? That you have already claimed. Now, in the second year, you have sold that new house for 1 crore. In the second year, you have sold that new house for how much? 1 crore. Are you all here? Now, when you are selling that new house for 1 crore, two things have to be computed. Number one, there is a violation of lock-in period. Because for the next 3 years, you are not supposed to transfer that new house. Number two, there is a transfer of residential house property. For that also, you must compute capital gain and pay the taxes. Yes or no? I have transferred that new house for a value that is 1 crore. That is a full value consideration. And how much is my original cost of acquisition of that new house? 75 lakhs. Yes or no? From the 75 lakhs, since there is a lock-in period violation, what department say? When I take cost of acquisition, I am supposed to deduct that exemption claimed earlier from my cost of acquisition. That simply means from the 75 lakhs, I cannot claim 50 lakhs. I have to reduce 50 lakhs. Only 25 lakhs will be my cost of acquisition on subsequent sale of that new house if there is a lock-in period violation. If there was no lock-in period violation, 75 lakhs would have been my cost of acquisition on subsequent sale. Since there is a lock-in period violation, the cost of acquisition have to be reduced by the exemption that you have claimed earlier. Because you have given a promise to the department that you will never transfer that new residential house property for next 3 years. You have violated that. So that you have to face the consequence. And what is the consequence? On subsequent sale of that particular residential house property, from its cost of acquisition, you deduct the exemption that you have claimed earlier. Are you all here? So this is how you have to consider the violation of lock-in period condition. I hope this much is super clear for you.
To purchase recorded lectures and textbooks, visit our website www.cajosekurian.com.